Hello, how are you doing everyone? It's Jordan here. Now today we've got a review of Piofiore Episodio 1926. This review was written by the lovely Katie Pajamas. Please go follow her on Twitter with the links in the description. These are her words, not mine. Let's see what she thinks of this highly anticipated Otome. A couple of years ago, Piofiore Fated Memories was translated over to English and released in the West. As someone who loves otomes, naturally I picked it up day one and proceeded to experience one of my favorite otomes of all time. When I heard that Episodio 1926, the second installment of the series, was going to be brought over this year and released September 22nd, I was ecstatic and I have been waiting ever since. And I know I'm not the only one. In the West, I would argue that Piofiore Episodio 1926 is one of, if not the biggest otome release of 2022. Directly following the events of the previous game, we join the protagonist Liliana Adonato as she navigates the dangerous world of the Mafia in Bologna, a small town in Italy during, you guessed it, 1926. It's a time of relative relaxation after the events of the previous year, but things don't stay that way for long, as in every route you're pulled into a world of mystery, intrigue, and mafia. You'll find all the lovable male counterparts present in this game with a route for each of them, as well as a direct follow-up route to the finale from the first game. In case it wasn't obvious, it's almost required to complete the first game, Fated Memories, prior to playing this one, as otherwise you'll have no clue what's going on. Only available on the Switch, brought over to us and published by Axis and developed by Otome powerhouse Otomate, Piofiore Episodio 1926 promises a lot and has been hotly anticipated by many ever since it was announced. But the real question here is, does it deliver on what the fans hoped it would? Do we get to see more or any real romance from Orlok? Will Lily finally drink too much espresso and bake too many desserts? And does Yang remain the top tier love interest in this game? Let's jump into 1920s Italy and find out. Before we get into it, if you want to purchase this physically on the Nintendo Switch, consider checking the links below in the description and the pinned comment. If you purchase it, then you also support VN Paradise at the same time. In terms of the story, life in Bologna is pretty relaxed nowadays. Lily is happy and spending time with her true loves and just enjoying life. However, the atmosphere of both the Italian government and the church are changing, and the mafia is being ousted from Italy. In each route, we get to see the trickle-down results of this taking place, and how it affects each mafia family and their associates. Since there is no common route in this game, the setting and story during each route, as far as what has taken and what will take place, are vastly different. It's hard to describe any particular beginning, especially since not all characters are even alive in every route depending on what happened to them in the first game. However, every route does involve or mention Liliana's status of being the Key Maiden, a special individual who can unlock the door to a relic that the Falzone family are sworn to protect, whose purpose is sometimes exploited and sometimes not even a main factor. How this affects the story differs every route, but it almost always plays a small role in some capacity. While one or two of the routes held a few looser ends and didn't feel entirely resolved, most of them felt pretty tied up and complete. I enjoyed every route in this game, but some did tend to feel weaker than others. Orlok, for example, who wasn't my favourite in the first game and featured what I felt to be a disappointing romance, still felt very boring despite character growth and didn't really make me feel excited to go through his route. Others that didn't initially blow me away really impressed me in this game, one of which being Dante. Dante's route in the first game was lower on my list in terms of enjoyment, but really seemed to step it up in this one. One last piece to highlight is how much character growth there is from this game and the first one. The main protagonist Lily is smart and relatable, and while slightly passive in some cases, is strong-willed in her conviction and not afraid to speak her mind. You really see this the most in Yang's and the alternative routes, which coincidentally were also my two favorite routes in this game. Each of the main routes takes around 5 hours apiece and come with several different endings, so make sure to make saves before any choices. It's very easy to make the wrong one and get instantly killed and sent back to the title screen. This happened to me several times and I was shocked at how quick it had taken place, but really eager to keep going and get back to the story. This game is packed with all types of terrible bad ending and routes, a lot of which involve death in all various forms. There's a reason, just as there was for the first one, why this game is rated M. The recommended route order is Gilbert, Orlok, Nicola, Yang, Dante, Episodio Alternativa, and then finally Henry. Henry's route is actually the only locked route in the whole game, requiring you to complete all the other main character routes, as well as the Alternativa route before it becomes playable. In terms of characters, all the main love interests from the first game reappear in this one, and every route is focused on giving you a good story with them, as well as additional romance interactions. Dante Falzone remains business orientated, but incredibly sweet and focused on Lily. Nicola has both his playful side, as well as maintaining his sharp business acumen. Orlok is church and faith devoted, while also innocent and doe-eyed in the face of real romance. Gil is both incredibly cocky and romantic while remaining strong in running the Visconti family. Henry is the sad and damaged one, but also the one with whom lies the most intrigue. And last, but certainly not least, is Yang, the terrifying but somehow still attractive leader of the Berlin Chinese Mafia, the Lao Shu, my favorite love interest in this game. The way that all the characters interact with each other and mesh with almost every route is something about this game that I appreciate, especially in the final route. We get to see the way the characters get along and work together towards a common goal, and while not all of their morals align, they make it work. In addition to our main men, we are given a cast of several new characters that make varied appearances throughout the story. There's Yuan and Rei, which feature most heavily in Yang's story as they are part of the Chinese Mafia. Eugene, a drifter who Lily runs into on the streets and features in Gil's story. Tio, a mystery man who makes at least some appearances in every route. Johann, a prospective disciple from the same place that Orlok came from. And lastly, Raoul, a relative of the Falzone family, and most featured in Dante and Nicola's stories. I won't go into any more details on these characters since all of their backgrounds are explained thoroughly throughout the game and involve spoilery type aspects to them, but do know that some of them are featured more than others, but all have a starring role somewhere and are given a good place to shine. One thing that has to be mentioned when it comes to this game's characters is how the voice acting in this game can't be praised enough. For those who have played a lot of Otomes, you'll recognize a lot of the names tied to this game. Many of the voice actors are involved with other big name Otomes and bring their all-star experience to this one. As a whole, the characters are written just as well as they were in the first game and showcase growth in character and story. That's one of the many reasons this game flourishes as an excellent sequel, as it delivers to the promise that you'll get to see and learn more about the characters you love. In terms of gameplay mechanics, we see a lot of similar game mechanics brought over from the first Piofiore game, as well as a few new things to look for. Meanwhile, stories makes a reappearance and are used to focus on another scene happening simultaneously to the one you were just reading. These are in all parts of the game and are a nifty feature to give you more insight on the story from others' point of view, as well as explore the world even further. Something new introduced into this title is the aria feature, which highlights a specific word or phrase that is a callback to the first game and showcases a particular scene that occurred, but instead from the love interest point of view. I found this to be a really cute way to bring back the better scenes of the first game while also giving you a different point of view to enjoy them. Outside of the main routes, you'll also run across a short advent calendar, as the game calls it. This lets you run through several short stories, each from a particular month, with Lily and the guys leading up to the Alternativa ending that allows the finale from Piofiore Fated Memories. This section is pretty forgettable, I felt, but it has a small piece of character background, as well as a small peek into the lives of the characters following the previous year's events through little slice of life stories. Whenever I play a new Otome, I look forward a lot to not only the story and characters, but also the new art and music. Episodio 1926 features most of the same backgrounds and music from the first game, so you'll see and hear a lot of familiar things while playing. The music sets the mood so well and leaves you falling in love with the setting and style. The art is as top tier as Otome comes, and has gorgeously drawn CGs, which were also a highlight of mine from the first game. One of the niftier parts involving the art is the rotation of the background presented on the title screen. While playing, you'll notice that whenever you return to the title screen, depending on what you've recently played or completed, the picture in the background will change, which is just a nice touch to make the game feel more alive. Just like with the first game, expect nothing but quality here, as Piofiore is not only gorgeously written, but is also beautifully presented. This game is spectacular in almost every aspect, but my biggest issue comes in the form of legibility and text translation issues. The aria moments that are featured throughout the main routes are all presented with black and white backgrounds, This isn't a problem, except for the fact that the text is also white, thus making a lot of these aria moments impossible to fully read. This particular problem also isn't limited to just the aria portions either. Several other parts of the game are also in black and white with the same issue. While it's not a large majority problem during the whole game, it does make these particular segments a bit of a pain. While I love that they were used as a callback to the first game, I would also love to be able to read them. After scouring the settings page, there isn't any option to make this particular text easier to read, unfortunately, so for me, I had to really struggle through them. Additionally, there are several translations and text issues where either the sentence didn't make sense or there were words missing, or in one case just ran off the screen out of the text box completely. There are also some awkward line breaks where a sentence won't be finished until after a scene transition, making the flow feel off. I'm really hoping that some of these are fixed in some capacity in the future updates, since they really detract from an otherwise well done game. In conclusion, Piofiore Episodio 1926 is every bit as action-packed, tense, and romantic as Fated Memories was. While there are some text and legibility issues, these play such a small role in the larger experience that is this game. The love interests all maintain their personalities from the first game while still exhibiting character growth, and we're treated to some new spicy scenes and more time with the characters we love. We also get to see Lily mature as a character and maintain her ranking as a strong and well-written Otome MC. Her bravery in the situation she gets put in is both impressive and terrifying. I mean, I wouldn't want to go through a lot of what she does in this game. Unless it involves Yang. I'd be fine with that then. Anyways, Piofiore Episodio 1926 is an excellent 40 to 50 hour visual novel, and any fan of the first game will find exactly what they want here. To any Otome fan who hasn't played the first game, what are you doing? Play it and join the excellence that is this series that features not only strong writing, but strong characters and one of the best Otome storylines out there. Also, I wouldn't say no to a third game, just saying. A 9 out of 10. Alright, many thanks to Cater Pajamas for writing this review. Please go follow her on Twitter. And also check out our other review of a recent Otome, Amnesia Memories. Yeah, it's an old Otome, but it's just released in English on the Switch. And we will also have a review of Amnesia Later X Crowd sometime in the near future. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe. It will be the best thing you do today. I promise. Take care.